she finds out that, oh, he's not married. So then her gaze kind of lightens a little bit, and it's kind of like a puppy dog stare. So like he comes across her again, she's like, and he's like, I see you're in a better mood now. I'm still gonna go. So the next show we're gonna be talking about is uh, Love is Like After the Rain, or Koi wa Amiagari no Yoni. So this is also on
you know what?
yeah,
Amazon Prime can have this one. I'm okay with that.
So this is a slice of life.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about this one.
And I now see what you were talking about, because you're like, in the trailer, it's like a girl looking sad on a bus, a girl looking sad in a class, a girl looking sad in a restaurant, and I'm like, I'm watching it, and I'm like, yeah, she does look sad.
And there she is on a bus, and there she is in a restaurant.
So
that's how the whole story goes. She just looks sad. Congrats.
So I definitely see where you got that from. I have a little bit of backstory because I watched it. So basically, she used to be a track star. She used to be like team captain, and because of, I think in the synopsis went over this, but it says because of an accident she had to give up track. So now she's kind of like, I guess, finding her purpose in life now. So she's kind of like, it seems like she's kind of just wandering from one thing to another. Her daily life, it consists of going to class and kind of being sad because she can't join can't join in on the track and everything, and like all of her teammates are like, man, we wish you could join us, or they're like, oh, we won this last competition and all that kind of stuff, and she like gives feedback, like she's like gives advice from the other teams and stuff like that, because then you can tell that she was like one of the top athletes. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah. Then she goes to work at a family restaurant. I'm trying to figure out like it's kind of like a Denny's. Like, would you consider Denny's like a family restaurant? Like, I would assume, like, I'm like, because I don't eat out all the time, like, all restaurants are family restaurants to me, unless it's like Hooters.
Probably what the best I could say would be like Wignadia from Working.
Yeah, exactly. It's a store just like Wagnaria, but I guess it's a Japanese term where they're like, oh, let's go to a family restaurant. And like, I guess there's like there's family restaurants, there's regular restaurants, and there's like, no, not family restaurants.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. So she works at a family restaurant, and she's in love with her boss. Now, one thing that I was kind of weary about was the age gap, because they said the boss is 45 and he has a son, and she is a high schooler. If you calculate that, he's anywhere from 2.5 to 3 times her age. So numerically speaking, I'm like, absolutely not. If she was my daughter, I'm like, absolutely not. For some reason, the way this show goes about it, I'm like, I don't know. The style of this show is very unique. Like, the characters are like very expressive. It reminds me of something kind of like the Studio Ghibli type of stuff. Like, you see the character's face and you can see their personality just by looking at their face. And you're like, oh, okay, they're kind of mischievous. Or like, oh, okay, he's like very, very energetic because his hair kind of like shoots back. Like he's like, it's just energy. And you're like, oh, okay, he's the hyper guy. Like, I really, really, really like the character designs in this show because of like how expressive they describe the character and the way that they look. The boss of the show is a very silly, very punny, very clumsy, you look at him and you just see the word dad jokes. You're like, okay. So until one scene, I was like, this dude is a goof. Like, I don't get it. And there's this one scene where somebody two girls are talking, and like, she's like, what do you think about the boss? And like, he was like, as he was walking around the corner, like, what do you think about the boss? And he's like, kind of just backs up behind the corner, and he's like, "Oh crap, what do I do?" Because this door goes outside the restaurant, and then this way is into their conversation. So he's like, "Do I walk around the restaurant, come into the front door, and be all weird, or do I just kind of like hide out here until the conversation's over?" And like they start talking about him and saying like, I think he's like in his head, so he's not hearing anything, and and then she said that he kind of smells, and then he heard that part and was like, "Oh, guys, excuse me, I was just taking out the trash," and kind of like just like goes through the conversation, like tries to get out of there. So he kind of takes that to heart. He's like, "Okay," and he goes and changes his shirt, and then as he's like getting ready to go back into work, he like remembers some of the awkward situations because he's trying to be the cool guy and like one be the boss but then also be the cool guy and then also be funny, and it's like he's like taking mental notes. So there was one situation where like he told a bad joke and like it just bombed, and he's like, "Okay, no more sock jokes." And then as he's like changing his shirt because somebody said that he's kind of smelly, and then he goes back in, and it's like it's cool to see like him kind of like collecting his thoughts and like trying to like I guess make everybody happy, but then he ends up just coming off awkward. He's always apologizing to customers and stuff like that, and I feel like none of the stuff that he's apologizing for is his fault. It's because like one dude was like, "All my food's burnt," and he goes back to the kitchen and he's like, "Hey, could you make this again?" And you look at it, it's like freaking charcoal. And I'm like, what the hell is the cook doing? Like he just doesn't care about his job. And
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and I'm like, me like trying to figure out these characters, like why do they keep this one guy here and he's like burning food? And then because of the way I see the boss interacting with everybody, I think he's like, "Okay, so you kind of messed this up, but next time let's make it good. We could do that, right?" And he's like trying to please the guy who's burning all the food, so he could stay there, or so the guy can like him. But then he has to like apologize to the customer, and I'm like, it's so weird. Like the more I think about it, like why everybody's like so weird, and like there's this older lady, and she's like kind of quit being a pushover. Like she's like one scolding him, but then two also kind of like talking behind his back to like the other people. Like, look at this silly. He's apologizing again, and it's a really cool dynamic between like all of the like the staff members at the restaurant. And then you meet like the girl. She comes into the restaurant and she works there and everything, and she just does her job like normal and everything, and she's kind of like just stern and like just does her job, and she's not like like just happy like kind of customer that you see like stereotypically in anime.
Yeah.
But then every time she encounters the boss, she kind of like stares at him like intently, and he's like, "Is there something on my face?" And then she's like just staring at him, and he's like, exactly. And if anything weird happens, then like her stare changes, which is like really funny. There's this one part where she finds out that he has a kid, I guess because the situation that he had with his kid didn't work, so he had to bring his kid to work. So his kid was in the break room, and somebody had like mentioned like, "Oh, his kid's here," and then the girl, she's automatically assumed that he's married. So then now she's mad, and she's like, "Crap. The person who I like is the Mary." So now when he looks at it, like when he comes across her, she's just like angry staring at him. And he's like, "I'm sorry, what did I do?" And she just stares at him, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go." And then she finds out that the mother is no longer in the picture. I can't remember if the mother had passed away or they just got divorced or whatever. But she finds out that, oh, he's not married. So then her gaze kind of lightens a little bit, and it's kind of like a puppy dog stare. So like he comes across her again, she's like, and he's like, "I see you're in a better mood now." I'm still gonna go. So it's really, really cool. Like their interaction. There's one point where she goes on break and like the kid's there, and he finished doing his math homework or whatever homework he's doing. And then he's like, "Now it's time for music homework," and he pulls out a recorder. and he's just like, wah, 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 in the restaurant. And I'm like, has his dad not told him that he needs to be quiet? I'm like, from what I've seen about how the way he interacts with all of his employees, I'm pretty sure he lets his son do whatever he wants. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So then he like turns into dad mode and he like busts into the break room. He's like, ah! He's like, hey, I told you not to make that music. And he's like, where? I'm in the restaurant, or whatever. And then he like leaves, and then the kid's like, and right before he blows on the recorder again, the girl stops him, and like she's like, no, you need to be quiet. And then it cuts away to the restaurant, and then when you cut back, like he comes back, he's like, it's really quiet. Now I'm kind of worried. So then he goes to check back on his son, and the girl has taken them outside to the back of the restaurant where they throw the trash, and she's like teaching him how to actually play a recorder properly. And she's like just playing a song, and then she hands it to him, and then he's like, oh, okay. He's playing it properly. And he had just come out the back door and like checked on him, and he's like, I've never seen her smile. He's like, cool. And then he notices that that she's teaching him, and he's like, oh, nice. And then he like closed the door and like sneaks off. So I really, really like the show. The characters are really unique. And it's one of them things where it's like everything has a reason from like the stuff that I'm seeing, or at least I'm figuring out a reason that's probably close to accurate. So yeah, I really, really, really like this show. I still don't approve of the relationship stuff. It's mostly one-sided. So I'm okay with it for now. But if it does change, it needs to be a really, really, really good reason. Because like I'm open to it because of how like cute and playful the show is. But I'm still kind of like, it's a little stretch.
Gotta give you a purpose for it.
Yeah, it's a stretch. It's a really, really big stretch. So, yeah. Oh, and the show is gorgeous. Like the trailer, I feel like the trailer like put its best foot forward. Like in every cut, they're like, we had our best animator work on every cut of this trailer. But then when you watch it, not only does it look very nice, it moves very nice. It's not as spectacularly gorgeous as the trailer was, but it's still really, really nice. I think this show is made by Madhouse. So I think there's a couple of shows that are made by Madhouse, and I want to say this is one of them, but I'm not 100%. But if it's not made by Madhouse, then I'm like, it fooled me. But yeah, I really like this show.
Gotcha.
The stories, it's just stuff to get to the next fight. So I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I like as they're going. Basically, this studio is like flexing their 3D muscle, and they're like, look at this butterfly. And then